Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland and today I have a layout for Simple Stories using the Harvest Market collection. This collection is so pretty. So until a few years ago, I always hated being given autumn or fall assignments because I never had any good photos and I don't really enjoy autumn as a season. I know that everyone will think I'm nuts because everyone loves it, but for me, it's the mark of things getting cold, and it's just in the UK. It's mostly pretty dreary and not much fun. It's cool when all the leaves fall off. That's pretty cool. But anyway, so I do not feel that way anymore. In fact, now autumn layouts are one of my favourite assignments to get, and that's because every year now we go to the pumpkin patch. There's a local one. And it's awesome. We hadn't been until maybe 2 or 3 years ago. We went for the first time and we absolutely loved it and we had such fun. So it's opened my eyes to layouts about fall. And now I take photos by trees and we try and get photos with throwing leaves up in the air and that kind of thing as well. But on this occasion, this was last year. Obviously, this year hasn't happened yet. The pumpkin patch is not open yet. But last year, so 2021, our annual visit to the pumpkin patch. And for some reason, at this time, they were desperate to find that they were having a competition between the three of them, trying to find the smallest pumpkin. I think they thought they were cute. That is what this photo is of, is my little boy carrying a teeny tiny pumpkin that he's super proud of himself for finding. So I have cut that photo into a circle shape, and the reason I've done that is because I wanted it to fit inside that beautiful frame. That's one of the chipboard frames that we quite often have in the Simple Stories, or almost always have in the Simple Stories collections. And there just happened to be a beautiful circle shaped one in there, so I decided to go for that. Now my photo I printed at basically printed it at like 3x4, a bit smaller than that, 2 to a 6x4 sheet. So it wasn't big enough to cut into a circle and sit behind the frame completely. So I just cut it to the size it could be, the biggest circle it could be, and then I backed the frame with a circular piece of the orange pattern paper from the 6x8 paper pad. And then I stuck my photo on top in the middle. So I've got my photo, I've got a orange surround before it hits the frame. So it was looking lovely. And what I decided to do was make this fanned effect with squares of pattern paper. Now, I love pattern paper. I'm always looking for new and interesting ways to use it because I went through a stage where everything was white background and minimal. I don't think I've ever really been minimal, but focusing more on the embellishments than the pattern papers themselves, and everything. I have a massive display of layouts on my craft room wall. It's the entire wall. It's a very big wall, and it's huge, and it's pretty huge. And I've just got loads and loads of shelves. I have my layouts displayed, and I looked at it one day. And I was like, oh, everything's white. And anyway, that spurred me on, it was a couple of years ago now, to make sure that I used papers and patterns on my layouts ever since. So ever since then, I have pretty much stuck by that. I always try to include a decent amount of pattern paper. So I'm always a complete sucker for the 6x8 paper pads. I love the slightly smaller print papers. So I decided to use loads of them, and I cut them all into 6x6 squares, and then I have distress all the edges, and I'm going to offset them. Now, before I do that, I am making a bit of a mixed media background. I wanted this to kind of be a glow around the outside of my papers. So you can see that I've pulled out 3 colours of distress oxides, which roughly match the collection. And I have done a rough circle. I drew a circle around my my squares of paper in the first place, so I roughly had a guide. And then I've added the colours just using an ink applicator thing. And then I've added some contrasting colours, the same 3 colours, but one colour on a different colour background, if that makes sense, through the stencil, the really beautiful leaf stencil that is part of this collection. So I've layered that over the top. There we go. And then you can see when I put my papers back in position, the glow shows around the edge, and I've added splatters as well. So now I've skipped forwards a little bit, and I went off camera and I distressed the edges of all of my papers, my 6x6 papers, and I have run them all around the sewing machine. So every one has a line of stitching around the outside edge. That's machine stitching, and it's only in white, but that's around all of them. So I'm liking how that's looking. And then I've just spent a little bit of time getting them all offset, sticking them all together. There's no foam pads, you'll be pleased to know, in between these layers. This is plenty thick enough, being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 papers thick in the middle there, plus the circle, plus the frame, plus the circle behind the frame. So it's very thick layers, very, very heavy. Yeah, so I have just spent a bit of time getting those in position. I've stuck that down now to the background, and I have curled up the edges even more. So where I've distressed the edges, I've now also kind of folded them too, so they really look like it's a big kind of fan. And then I'm just getting my photo in place into the middle there. It's got to go in the centre. And then I really wanted to use this pumpkin patch title. It's lovely. I love the foam stickers in the collections. They have great titles, great words. They nail it every time. I love, some manufacturers, I find that I get a pack of phrases and I can't use half of them. They're all too cheesy, effectively, but I find that the Simple Stories ones are brilliant, so I can generally use pretty much all of them, whereas it's definitely not that way with some others. Brilliant. On this occasion I've gone for Pumpkin Patch as my title, and to the left I've got a pumpkin, which is from the foam stickers, because you don't only just get phrases, you also get icons too. And then I'm now adding some ephemera from the bits and pieces, and I've added another pumpkin. I've got sunflowers. There's no sunflowers in my photo, but this is also the Sunflower Festival farm as well, so that makes sense. And I loved the scarecrow. I really loved him. He was super cute, and he's got a sunflower in his hat, so he's just adorable. So I've added those there. I've also added chicken. There are often chickens wandering around at this place. It basically is a farm, so fair enough. So I don't think we saw any on this day, but they are quite often wandering around. So he was cute. And then I'm just going to basically kind of keep adding. I loved this row of bunting. Sometimes bunting is quite big, and then I find it quite difficult to incorporate onto my layouts. But this one was really tiny, so really small flags. This is just a piece of ephemera from the Bits and Pieces pack, and that just sat on there really lovely in between the two words. Really nice. I was happy to be able to use that. And something else I really love about the Simple Stories ephemera, so the Bits and Pieces, is that they have some big pieces in those, but they also have really tiny ones as well. So you can see I'm adding leaves, and they are all from that same pack of Bits and Pieces. And some acorns and other things, and maple leaves and normal leaves and oak leaves. And so brilliant, all perfect, absolutely brilliant. Now I'm just coming back and adding in some of the lovely enamel. They're not enamel dots, are they? What are they? Decorative brads. So just adding that onto a few of those onto the layout. Again, they have great phrases and sayings, all really, really usable, great icons, great sayings, great colours. It's all just brilliant. So I'm adding a few of those in, and some enamel dots as well. The whole circle theme, the decorative brads being circles, and the enamel dots being in circles, all goes quite well with my whole very circular layout that's made of squares. So yeah, all good fun. I love creating things like this. I love all the busy patterns on here. They're just fabulous. So just writing a little bit of journaling, bottom right there. Just wrote I couldn't really write much in because there wasn't a lot of space to write it, or a sensible place to put it without ruining the context of the design and the whole overall effect. So I've just got a little bit on the right, who can find the smallest pumpkin, and then a little bit that's going around the top of one of the circles up there, and the date is in there as well. And then I'm just coming in and finishing off with some splatters of white paint. And I've not gone for big splatters, I've gone for small splatters in a paintbrush so I can be a bit more controlled. I'm just splattering those all the way around all the patterns. I've just covered my photo, and yeah, that was it. And then I left that to dry. I was thinking I was done, and then I just was like, oh, I think it needs a border. I think this is my whole pattern paper thing. I felt that it was just too white. I'm not too keen on white edges, to be honest. I love my layouts that have borders. What I did was I've just trimmed down my layout a little bit, and then I have distressed the edges. I was a bit worried at this point that, oh, this could actually ruin it, because maybe I don't need a border because there's so many patterns, but I'm drawn to borders. I have just stuck that directly to there. I was going to gut it and save the middle, but this layout is so heavy that I felt that it needed the additional support of a whole page behind it. So sometimes I still gut, and then I stick a bit of old cardstock that I don't like the colours of on the back, and that's another way of doing it. Maybe I should have done that. Then I could have saved that amazing checked pattern. Anyway, so that is me done. I hope you enjoyed seeing this layout come together, and I hope it gives you an idea to use your 6x8 paper pads and to get lots and lots of patterns on one page. Thank you so much for joining me today. That was Nikki Rowland for Simple Stories using Harvest Market.